What's going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back to the Fantasy Headliners. I've got my top 30 wide receivers here for you in week 8. And saw a couple of comments last week talking about maybe speeding up the video a little bit. So let me know. I'm going to go through this one a little bit quicker than I have in previous weeks. But let me know in the comments below. Do you want me to go back to the way I was originally doing it, where I was touching on each player a little bit? Or do you like the condensed version where I'm going a little bit quicker? So let's go ahead and roll into it. Hit that like button because we're going to start with the top 30. And of course, at number 30, AJ Green from the Cincinnati Bengals. He would be higher on my list if it weren't for there's 3 wide receivers that are going to get a ton of targets. And he's kind of at the bottom of the totem pole for me right now, just because he hasn't been clicking as much with Joe Burrow as the other guys have. But AJ Green at number 30, number 29, Nelson Aguilar. He is really Derek Carr's deep threat right now, and definitely in a matchup where he can take it to the house again. And even though there's going to be quite a bit of wind this week, Nelson Aguilar has been running routes that aren't necessarily just straight down the field. He's been running some things in the middle of the field, intermediate routes, and breaking those as well. Still a good week for Nelson Aguilar coming up. Juju Smith-Schuster coming up at number 28. Returns to form last week, 14 targets, looking a lot better. If he's got his weapons on the outside healthy, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, James Washington, he's able to excel in the middle of the field a lot better. At number 27, Deontay Johnson, one of the highlighted players along with Michael Thomas and Justin Jefferson, because I've got concerns about each one of these guys this week. Deontay Johnson is dealing with a toe injury still. Looks like he's going to play this week, but that's why he's a little bit lower. I just want to see how things go over the weekend. If he's healthy, though, you play him. He's still a start for me. Michael Thomas at number 24. He's back to practice on Thursday, but is he going to be ready to go on Sunday? We've done this for the last few weeks now. Michael Thomas looks like he might be ready to go. Boom, Saturday night. Nope, Michael Thomas is out tomorrow. And then Justin Jefferson at number 21. I have him as a sit this week. But keep in mind what I said about Jair Alexander, one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and per Pro Football Focus, the best cornerback in the league. Justin Jefferson could see him quite a bit because Adam Thielen could move into the slot. If Thielen is in the slot, Alexander will not be on Thielen. If Thielen is outside, then Alexander might be on Thielen outside. So even though I have Justin Jefferson as a sit because his floor is really low, because if Alexander's on him this week, that could really kill his floor. However, if he can get away from Alexander, let's say Thielen does go outside and Alexander ends up being on Thielen, his ceiling is still really high. That's why I have him at 21. But make no mistake about it, I'm not comfortable with Justin Jefferson this week, no matter how many times you guys kill me in the comments for it. Number 26, Jarvis Landry, no more OBJ. Going to have to be throwing the ball quite a bit against the LA Raiders this week. LA Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, the LV Raiders. Jarvis Landry, a good bet to see a decent amount of targets. Amari Cooper at number 25. Still have him as a start this week. I've got him lower coming in at number 25. Got to see who the quarterback's being. It's probably not going to be Andy Dalton based on the news today. Does concern me just a little bit, but he's the number 1 wide receiver on that team. They're going to have to throw the ball against Philly. It's a good matchup for him. Could still potentially get enough volume. See, kind of like a game that we saw last week. Maybe around 8 receptions, 80 to 90 yards, somewhere in that area. Number 23, Cooper Kupp. Number 22, Robert Woods. Both of these guys just haven't had much of a ceiling the last few weeks. I got them a little bit lower right now. I'm still playing them, but if I've got guys with higher upside, like I said a minute ago with Justin Jefferson, maybe you think about going with them if that is what your matchup calls for. For instance, if you're going up against the number 1 team in the league that scores X amount of points per week and you're out of the playoff picture right now and you really need a lot of upside to win, maybe you do risk it this week with Justin Jefferson over a Cooper Kupp because he might have a higher ceiling than what he may have. So, again, that's why I've got Jefferson where he's got. I've got these two guys where they're at. See, it all comes together, Headliner Nation. At number 20, T. Higgins. Again, T. Higgins would be higher for me, but he can't be because there's 3 wide receivers getting plenty of targets right now. Travis Fulgham, he's going to be at number 19. He could be higher too, but we're expecting Jalen Reagor to be back this week. That team's getting just a little bit more healthy, just a little bit, but he should still be the number 1 option this week going up against the Cowboys, who get burnt quite a bit. But again, number 19 could be a little bit higher, but what are we going to see from Rager this week? At number 18, Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown is a good bet this week going up against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that gives up 40 points a game. I think Pittsburgh is going to handle business against Baltimore this week. They could put them behind, and if they do, Lamar Jackson's going to have to throw a little bit more. Could lead to a big play for Marquise Brown. Number 17, Brandon Ayuk, my Manscaped must start of the week. I talked about my start and sit video. Going up against Seattle, they allow over 60 fantasy points per game, and they don't really have a whole lot of healthy players right now outside of George Kittle, really experiencing a lot of injuries in the backfield as well. Brandon Ayuk could be that guy that, again, they use in that type of a capacity where he's getting some end arounds, getting some touches out of the backfield, doing some different creative things with him. Big plays this week. Tyler Boyd at number 16. Would love to put Tyler Boyd a lot higher than he is, going up against a Tennessee defense that allows 46 fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. But again, like I said with Higgins and like I said with AJ Green, the three of them right now are getting distributed targets. However, Tyler Boyd right now has the highest upside out of all of them. Stefon Diggs meets Stephon Gilmore. Maybe. Gilmore dealing with a knee injury right now, actually added to the injury report today and was limited in practice. Will he end up playing this week? We'll keep an eye on it and see. Just keep in mind, his name is floating around in potential trade deals. New England thinking about breaking things down a little bit. Gilmore could be shipped somewhere. If he's not 100% healthy, he could end up being out of this game. And if that happens, Stefon Diggs will bump up a couple of spots for me. Mike Evans at number 14. Love him with no Chris Godwin. When Chris Godwin's in the lineup, not nearly enough. But no Chris Godwin this week, so Mike Evans could get enough. However, with Bradbury on him, maybe limits that upside a little bit. If they were facing a little bit better of a matchup for him personally, he's a top 10 wide receiver for me this week. Have to count on Bradbury, keeping him in check a little bit, but that touchdown upside is there every single week. So you definitely have to look at that option for them. Allen Robinson still in the concussion protocol, has not practiced as of this recording. I've got him at number 13 right now, but we're running out of time. He's going to continue to slip down the rankings. More than likely, if we haven't heard anything by Friday afternoon, we're going to start taking a look at Allen Robinson being out this week completely and playing some other guys ahead of him. At number 11 and 12, DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, they have a great matchup this week going up against the Atlanta Falcons that allow almost 45 fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. DJ Moore just getting a little bump over Robbie Anderson right now because he's seeing a little bit more of that, what I like to call high upside volume or high efficiency volume. The type of volume in the middle of the field that definitely could turn into catches a little bit easier than those bombs down the side of the field. So that's why I got him just a step above Robbie Anderson right now. I'm going to mention it in my next slide, though. Within the top 12 wide receivers, we've got 3 pairs of teammates because DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are coming in at 4 and 5, and Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley are coming in at 6 and 7. It's crazy to think that we have 3 pairs of teammates infiltrating the top 12 right now. I'd have to go back and look at it and find a time in which that has happened. That's a little unprecedented. And honestly, if Justin Jefferson had a better matchup this week, Justin Jefferson could be a little bit higher up here too, and we could have 4 sets of teammates or 4 pairs of teammates. Absolutely insane that all these guys are playing together so well that we can all put them into our fantasy lineups and get more than enough points for them. But to drop back down just a little bit here real quick, number 10, Adam Thielen. Again, if he's playing out of the slot, he is not going to see Jair Alexander, which is going to be better for Adam Thielen, and we all remember what he did in week 1. I just got him a little bit lower because honestly in week 1, it took until the 4th quarter for that to happen. If you remember correctly, through 3 quarters, the dude only had like 3 or 4 catches for like 30 yards. He wasn't doing that well, and then all of a sudden, because they were behind by so much, boom, exploded in the 4th quarter. If they can keep him in the slot now that Justin Jefferson there, Justin Jefferson again could pull Jair Alexander. Adam Thielen is in the slot. He's not going to get Alexander. Could make things a little bit better for him for the entire day. Number 9, Keenan Allen, the volume king. The dude continues to get peppered by Justin Herbert. Probably one of, if not the best draft day value this year. Number 8, Kenny Golladay. Love myself some Kenny G, and the talk of him getting traded to the New York Giants, number 1, I don't think it's very true. But number 2, if that happens, I'm going to have to buy another new monitor because I'm going to end up smashing this one. The Lions shouldn't be so stupid. But Kenny G this week at number 8, going up against Indianapolis. Indianapolis, they're pretty good on the defensive side of the ball, barely allowing 35 fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. Is Xavier Rhodes, who's having, and let me say something real quick. Those of you that trashed Xavier Rhodes on the wide receiver start sit video, pay attention to how well he has played this year. You're looking at last year's numbers when the dude was absolute garbage. This year, he has gone back to the Xavier Rhodes that was a lockdown corner in Minnesota a couple years ago. So just keep that in mind. He's playing a lot better this year. But who's he going to be on? Is he going to be on Kenny Golladay, or is he going to be on Marvin Jones? Marvin Jones has traditionally beat Xavier Rhodes in the past. Is he going to get another shot at him? Well, if he doesn't have Xavier Rhodes, that's good for Kenny Golladay. And again, talking about the pairs of teammates here, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, all 4 of these guys, tremendous upside every single week. Great floors every single week as well. Now, Tyler Lockett will continue to be a little bit lower than everybody else. Just keep in mind, okay, Tyler Lockett is boom or bust, all right? We knew that about him going into the season. If you draft Tyler Lockett, you know that about him. When Russell Wilson is targeting him, he's highly efficient. But if those targets aren't coming, well, of course, he can't catch any of them. So just remember that every single week you play Tyler Lockett. And that's why, personally, I would like to have him as my wide receiver 2 more than my wide receiver 1. But that's where you were able to get him on draft day. So Tyler Lockett at number 5. DK Metcalf is number 4. A.J. Brown coming in at number 3, going up against Cincinnati this week. A.J. Brown looking really, really good in his return. Ryan Tannehill, I was a little concerned about him this offseason. Was he going to be able to go down the field as efficiently as he did last year? And he has been able to. Tyreek Hill at number 2, absolutely going to continue to put him there. Only thing I'm worried about this week is Kansas City going to pull away from this game a little bit early, okay? That's the concern. If they pull away quickly and pull away fast enough that they're not going to be throwing the ball as much, Tyreek Hill could be more towards, the low-end wide receiver 1. But whenever they're in the red zone, Tyreek Hill is the guy that's being looked at. Whenever they're in the middle of the field, Tyreek Hill is being looked at. Whenever they're in their own territory, Tyreek Hill's being looked at. So Patrick Mahomes consistently looking Tyreek Hill's way. More than enough opportunities for him to be a high upside play every single week. And then, of course, Davante Adams at number 1, coming off the game that he did last week and going up against a Minnesota team, giving up over 47 fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. And considering Davante Adams is really the only wide receiver that's worth playing in Green Bay, could be another big week for him. So Green Bay, Davante Adams right there at number 1. Headliner Nation, there you go. Ran through it pretty quickly. Let me know what you think. Do you want me to go through it that quickly? Do you want me to kind of go back to the old format where I take a little bit of extra time on each player? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you appreciate the content, hit that like button for me. If you got questions on anybody, leave them in the comments. Don't tell me that Justin Jefferson didn't start this week. I don't care. I don't have him as a start. Anyway, and then as always, hit that subscribe button. Become a part of Headliner Nation today. Over 110,000 strong now. Headliner Nation, appreciate you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.